Here's more wrestling news for March 16th, 2022. And your headlines for this afternoon include reports on WWE's plans to further build NXT 2.0, Dominik Mysterio victorious in NXT debut, it made her leave, AEW star takes credit for Brandi Rhodes' exit from the company, Bret Hart remembers his niece following her sudden passing, pays tribute to Scott Hall, Jake Roberts breaks silence following Scott Hall's death, Paige VanZant is frustrated that AEW will not let her do crazy stuff, Otis does not see himself reuniting with Mandy Rose in WWE, wrestling legend blasts Jeff Hardy's arrival, fans call for AEW to sign WWE wrestler as their WWE contract runs up, WWE denied Rey Mysterio's family access to WrestleMania 35 Afterparty, ex-WWE star was supposed to be the third member of the Brothers of Destruction, a real slap in the face, former AEW World Champion was frustrated with Vince McMahon, and more. We're kicking off today with NXT 2.0, which was relaunched in September 2021 in an effort to draw more fans from a younger demographic. That hasn't happened, as the average age of NXT 2.0 fans is reportedly in their 60s, and the paint-splattered brand has turned to superstars from Raw to boost their ratings. We've already seen the likes of AJ Styles and more recently Dolph Ziggler have runs in NXT 2.0, but fans should now expect many more names from the Red Show. According to Dave Meltzer, WWE's new plan for the crossover is for at least one Raw superstar to be on the show every single week, much more frequent than what was first believed. Last night's show saw Dolph Ziggler make his first appearance since becoming NXT champion, as well as an appearance by The Miz, with this appearance also being part of this new plan. Ziggler may be NXT champion right now, but his reign isn't expected to last long, as WWE reportedly plans on Braun Breaker winning the title back on a bigger stage, but whenever Dolph's run in NXT 2.0 ends, there'll be another Raw superstar ready to take his place. Dominik Mysterio was also in action on last night's show and picked up his first win in NXT 2.0. Accompanied by his father, Dominik defeated Raul Mendoza after an interruption from Elektra Lopez and the rest of Legado del Fantasma. Hitting the frog splash for the win, it was an impressive NXT 2.0 debut for Dominik, who continues to build momentum towards his WrestleMania debut in just a few weeks' time. On the February 2nd edition of AEW Dynamite, Paige VanZant had an altercation with Cody Rhodes, which resulted in the former MMA fighter getting physical with the then chief brand officer of the company. Less than 2 weeks later, Rhodes, alongside her husband Cody, had left AEW with rumors that Cody, but not Brandi, will be back in WWE very soon. There's been plenty of speculation as to what happened between Cody, Brandi, and Tony Khan, but now VanZant is taking credit for Brandi's departure. On ESPN MMA, VanZant recalled her segment with Brandi, saying that the drama she started is why Brandi left, and with AEW losing a top star, this is why she was signed to a contract. A match between Brandi and VanZant seemed to be in the works, but Rhodes' abrupt departure put an end to any plans the company may have had. Brandi only wrestled sporadically in AEW, but has noted that she still plans on becoming a women's champion. Though with WWE reportedly not interested in signing her, it remains to be seen where she'll wrestle next. This week, the wrestling world lost an icon as Scott Hall passed away at the age of 63. Hall had suffered 3 heart attacks thanks to a blood clot during surgery, bringing an end to one of the most influential wrestlers who proved it was cool to be the bad guy. Countless names worked with the Hall of Famer over the years, but few were more talented than Bret Hart, who paid tribute to his fellow Hall of Famer in a written tribute. I'm saddened to hear of the passing of Scott Hall. I wasn't very close with Scott in his later years, but upon reflection, I can flash back to many happy and fun memories of the days when he was my friend. I think Scott carried many heavy crosses long before I ever knew him. He was a good friend to Owen long before he became Razor Ramon. Wrestling life can be so much fun, and at the same time, it can take all you have at the same time. I will always remember Scott in the better times with his cool, dry sense of humor while playing gently with my sons. We had many matches, and he was a hard worker. I loved my matches with him at Royal Rumble and the first King of the Ring in 1993. I finally look back on so many terrific matches he had with Owen, Davey Boy, Sean Waltman, 1-2-3 Kid, and Shawn Michaels. We've lost so many wrestlers from my era, and this is just one more to a list that's far too long. I won't blame any one thing, but I do believe that if the days of wrestling 300 days a year had been kinder and more considerate, if we could have been home with our loved ones more, many of my old friends and brothers would still be here. I think Scott would smile to know that so many people really loved him and truly miss him. One more wrestler, a fine machine, gone too soon. My thoughts and prayers go out to his family, friends, and loved ones. Hall never became WWE champion, but played a key role in Bret's rise to the top of the company, as after winning the title for the first time, one of Hart's earliest title defenses would be against Razor Ramon at the 1993 Royal Rumble. Hall's life has come to a tragic end, but his memory still lives on, proving his claim at the 2014 WWE Hall of Fame induction that while bad times don't last, bad guys do. Jake Roberts also knew Scott Hall closely, as the pair were both helped to get their lives back on track by Diamond Dallas Page, and he too has paid tribute to the former Razor Ramon. On Twitter, the WWE Hall of Famer thanked all those who have tried to contact him, saying he's getting through his loss as best as he can, and made it clear that he's safe. Those calling may have thought that Roberts had jeopardized himself as he wasn't answering any calls, but Roberts explained that he's not taking calls because he doesn't feel like talking, but will in time. Both Hall and Jake were in an extremely dark place in their lives when Paige stepped in, and our thoughts continue to be with everyone who knew Hall at this time. AEW news next as Jeff Hardy made his debut for the company last week, coming to the aid of his brother Matt. After his controversial release from WWE, fans were ecstatic to see the two Hardys share an embrace on TV for the first time in years, but not everyone liked what they saw. On his podcast, Jim Cornette slammed Jeff's debut, saying it didn't live up to what he expected, explaining, "The Hardy Boys now have been reunited to face who? The Butcher and the Blade? Private Party? Andrade and Jose? It's like they got a 15-minute notice. Hey, Jeff's gonna be here. Okay, let's do something. They've had 3 months, right? And they've wasted it now with a poorly thought out, poorly laid out, rotten underneath heel group." Cornette added that the crowd were going to pop huge for Hardy's debut no matter what, and that's certainly what happened last week. Right now, it seems the team of the Hardys and Sting and Darby Allin will feud with the renamed Andrade-led Family Office, and it'll be interesting to see how this story builds en route to Jeff's first match as an AEW wrestler. Or from Paige VanZant as calling out Brandi Rhodes was just part of her interview with ESPN MMA. Speaking to Mark Raimondi, VanZant had plenty to say about her AEW run after Brandi's departure, commenting on some of the restrictions imposed on her in the company. In that same interview, Paige said she loves transitioning from MMA to pro wrestling, but admitted that she often pitches spots such as jumping off the top ropes or slamming someone through a table, only to be told that she needs to be trained first before she does crazy stuff. VanZant is yet to have a professional match in AEW, but seems to have started a program with Ty Conti, signing her AEW contract over the beaten body of the Brazilian wrestler. Fans can expect a match between the two down the line, but Paige will have to train up first before she's allowed to have a proper wrestling match or do any crazy stuff. In 2020, Otis and Mandy Rose were involved in a romantic story which saw the pair finally get together at WrestleMania 36. Now both are heels and on different shows, with Otis on Raw with Chad Gable and Rose dominating NXT 2.0 as the brand's women's champion. On an episode of El Brunch Day WWE, Otis discussed the relationship and said that while he misses his Peach, he doesn't see them reuniting on TV. Who wouldn't want to kiss her? Yes, she's doing good doing with the NXT thing, but I just don't see us in the future. But yes, I do miss her little kisses and hearing her little whispers in the ear. But she was a lot of fun to be with and work with. So yeah, I'm happy what she's doing now. But right now, I can't have unfocusedness in the Alpha Academy. Otis and Chad Gable recently lost the Raw Tag Team titles, and it's rumored that Alpha Academy will be added to the RK Bro vs. Street Profits match at WrestleMania. But for now, nothing can distract the former Money in the Bank winner on the road back to championship gold. Each week, Rhea Ripley makes an Impact entrance on Raw, stomping the ground to excite the crowd. The former Raw Women's Champion has certainly earned a ton of fans since coming to WWE, but one person in particular thinks her entrance looks very familiar. When WWE shared a video of Ripley's entrance alongside Liv Morgan on this week's show, Batista responded in the comments saying, "The entrance seems familiar somehow." The Animal clearly believes that Ripley is ripping off his own entrance, or at the very least is using it as inspiration for her own walk to the ring. At this time, Ripley hasn't responded to Batista's comments, but we'll have to see if her entrance in the coming weeks is influenced by what the Animal had to say. Last December, Johnny Gargano left WWE after his contract with NXT expired in a huge blow to the brand. While Gargano left, his wife Candice LeRae stayed under contract, but her time with the company will soon be coming to an end. Fightful Select has learned that LeRae's contract will end this spring, despite initial belief that due to her pregnancy, WWE would freeze her deal until early 2023. That hasn't happened, and WWE reportedly hasn't started negotiating a new deal with her, as she's currently away from the company on maternity leave, and the company didn't want to concern her with contract talks. LeRae gave birth to her and Gargano's first child, Quill, last month and hasn't wrestled since the Great American Bash 2021 last July. With WWE not having negotiated with her yet, there's understandably a feeling that she won't be returning to the company, and while she and Gargano are on good terms with WWE, don't expect to see her back in an NXT ring. Candice LeRae's time in WWE is likely to soon be over, and some fans already have a new home picked out for the former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion. As soon as news broke of her contract situation, fans on Twitter called for LeRae to sign with AEW, with one saying that losing Cody Rhodes but gaining LeRae, Gargano, Swerve Strickland, Jeff Hardy, and Keith Lee is an absolute win for Tony Khan. Another fan suggested that LeRae should be assigned to Ring of Honor, which will return to screens next month as the newest purchase for Tony Khan. As a new mother and on maternity leave, LeRae is focusing her time right now on her family, but should her deal with WWE expire, then there's one place the fans would love to see her work. We're heading back to 2019 now, as at WrestleMania 35, Rey Mysterio lost to United States Champion Samoa Joe, being squashed at the biggest show of the year in just 1 minute. Turns out that was just the start of a bad night for Mysterio, as on his Mailbag Mondays show, former WWE referee Mike Chioda explained how after WrestleMania, the Mysterio family weren't allowed into the post-show after-party. Chioda explained how the Mysterios didn't have enough wristbands to get in, and said how the company didn't want to bend the rules as there were a lot of important people who were there, and they all had the proper wristbands. Instead, Rey, his wife Angie, daughter Aaliyah, and son Dominik had to find somewhere else to spend the night, hardly the thanks the former World Heavyweight Champion had hoped for after competing at WWE's most important night of the year. This April, The Undertaker will take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame after a legendary 3-decade career in the company. For much of his career, Undertaker worked with Kane and became a 3-time tag team champion with the Big Red Machine. Known as the Brothers of Destruction, the two were an unstoppable duo, but at some point were planned to become a trio. During a recent episode of the Talkin' Shop podcast, Doc Gallows revealed the plan for him to become the third member of the Brothers of Destruction, saying, "They told me I was going to be the third Brother of Destruction in developmental. Think about that in your mind when you're a 20-something-year-old kid. At first they told me I was going to come out at WrestleMania 23. It ended up being the Boogeyman, but I was going to be the third brother. I'm sitting there at practice like, I'm the heir to the big man throne. Shit, I'll be a millionaire this time next year. I have no idea where that all came from." Gallows had experience in the role, as in 2006 he played the imposter Kane that feuded with the real Kane and did a pretty impressive job impersonating the Hall of Famer. Ultimately, WrestleMania 23 went ahead without Gallows, and it wouldn't be until much later that he'd debut in WWE as Festus, a far cry from the millionaire-making gimmick he had once been pitched. And we're ending today with Killer Kross, who is set to make his New Japan debut very soon. It's been announced that the 2-time former NXT champion will face Minoru Suzuki at the Lone Star Shootout event on April 1st in Dallas, in what'll be a huge collision between two major stars. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.